Guys, welcome back. So in this session, we're going to look into what is Azure Machine Learning. Okay, Azure Machine Learning is a cloud service for accelerating and managing the machine learning project lifecycle. Machine learning professionals, data scientists, and engineers can use it in their day-to-day workflows, train, deploy models, and manage MLOps. So one tool, you can basically use it for everything, and that's what I wanted to teach you guys, Azure Machine Learning. Okay, so basically you can create model. You can create a complete model in Azure Machine Learning. You can use an already built model and you can just upload it to it. So you can basically use PyTorch, TensorFlow, scikit-learn. You can use so many different libraries which is already inbuilt, and you can use it to monitor, retrain, and redeploy models. Coming to the next one. So this is how a sample project in MLOps will look like. So first of all, you are defining the tasks and you are like connecting it to a data source, and it will be explored and prepared. So once the data is prepared, you're going to train and validate the model. And so train and validate the model will have multiple phases. First of all, split the data into two parts in order to train it and then test it. So you will have to choose the algorithm which you're going to use, and then you will validate the model and evaluate it. Once everything is done, once you know the model is working fine, then we will deploy it into a server or into a CI/CD pipeline. Once it's deployed, you can use MLOps in order to monitor and manage the complete lifecycle. This is how a sample project lifecycle looks like. Okay, so there is something called Machine Learning Studio in Azure Machine Learning, which is exactly what you would need to create everything. For example, in this form itself, you can see there is notebooks, automated machine learning, and designer. So designer is like a drag and drop interface where you can just create a complete model by drag and dropping features. Automated ML, so you can automatically train and tune a model using a particular metric which you want to. And notebooks, you can create a notebook and start writing code directly in Azure Machine Learning itself. So Azure Machine Learning Studio is the web portal for data scientist developers in Azure Machine Learning. Again, you don't need to know any code in order to work with it. You don't need to know programming. You can directly start using the designer. But if you want to code and you want to do it on an MLOps tool, in order to do that, you can just use Azure Machine Learning. You can create a notebook or you can create a Python file and you can directly start working on this. Okay, and then notebooks, as I told you, write and run your own code in managed Jupyter Notebook servers that are directly integrated in the studio. You can directly create a notebook and start writing the code in Azure Machine Learning itself. And then comes the Azure ML Designer, where you can use to train and deploy machine learning models without writing any code, as I told you. You can drag and drop all the data sets and whatever you need it, you can just connect it and you can clean the missing data. You can basically get in a lot of different features. So this is one feature. And then finally, automated ML UI. So again, using the automated ML UI, you can like create complete ML model. And in this case, what you can do is we can basically trigger the model in according to a particular metric which you choose. All right. So this is basically the Azure Machine Learning architecture. And so one thing you'll have to start with is you'll have to create a workspace. So under the workspace, your studio, Azure Machine Learning Studio would be created. So under the workspace, all your ML machine learning, so basically all your machine learning models, MLOps, the resources will be available. So you can basically delete that one workspace, which will in fact delete everything related to it. So that's why we are creating workspace and then everything will be attached to it. Okay. So to the right side, you can see managed resources, compute instances, and compute clusters. So these two are important because the compute instances and the compute clusters are the one which helps us run these machine learning models. To the left side, we have linked services, so data stores and compute targets. So data stores are from where you're getting the data from and how you're creating the data set from. Compute targets are basically selecting on what compute should this model be deployed. So that is one. And then there are different assets connected to it. And so environments, experiments, pipelines, data sets, models, and endpoints. The data sets, you know what data sets are. You are going to use it to, you're going to use it as the first point in your model. So then there is models, you are creating the models. Endpoints would be the endpoint of a particular model, which you can use to view it. And then the pipelines would be the complete pipeline. So basically model would be one pipeline. That could be a model which has multiple pipelines in it as well. Then experiments are test cases. Environments are in which you are going to run and experiment these models. And then at the top, you see dependencies. So you might have to use Azure Container Registry if you're going to make this into an image. You're going to use Azure Storage Account, you're going to use the Key Vault, Azure Application Insight. So all of these will be used by the workspace. All right. Okay, so as I told you, compute target is any mission or set of missions you use to run your training script or host your service deployment. So you can use your local machine or a remote compute resource. For example, remote compute resource in the sense you can connect it to an Azure virtual machine or an AWS EC2 instance or a GCP compute engine. So whatever it is, you can do it. But it'll be much better if you just connect it to your compute instance you created in Azure Machine Learning, because that would be much faster. And then compute instance and compute cluster. So the only difference is compute instance is one particular virtual machine that includes all of this. It's one single virtual machine. And then compute clusters is a cluster of virtual machines. For example, if you are just practicing, in that case, go with a compute instance. If you are going to launch your model, so basically lots of users are going to use your model, in that case, you can go with compute clusters. Okay, so compute clusters, as told here, it is better suited for large jobs and production. Okay, so guys, what we're going to do is we're going to look into the Azure machine learning service in the next session. We're going to also look into basically the machine learning designer demo. So that's what we're going to look in the next session. So thank you so much for attending this. Meet you in the next session.